let's go through the games and let's talk about what happened during round two. So the round started off on Thursday with a game between Hawthorn and Sydney, and this game was amazing. From the get-go, both teams were just kicking goals left, right, and centre. The Swans kicked six in the opening quarter, with the Hawks kicking five. It was a tough contest throughout. The Swans looking like they were going to run away with it in the third quarter, and the Hawks just had a phenomenal fourth quarter, just absolutely dominating the ground possession and just really looking more dominant in the contested footy and the intercept game. Jack Gunston continued his form once again, kicking four goals. I think he might be leading the Coleman at the moment. I'm not too sure, but he has been phenomenal the past 2 years. Jack Gunston, Dylan Moore having 22 touches and three goals, and the Hawks have just looked really good. Sydney obviously not having Heaney and Goulden. A lot of people counted them out of this game. I tipped the Hawks to win by 28, and it looked like Sydney were going to win this game. So for the Swans to put up a fight without their two best mids, it's definitely a lot to say about like their midfield depth. Mills has started the year really well. Justin McInerney has played really well in that half forward sort of mid role. Riley Bice of halfback's been really solid. I really like the look of Angus Sheldrick. He's been really nice. Grundy continuing to do what he does. And, I think the Hawks are going to surprise a lot of people. They've played some good footy the past couple of weeks, albeit their loss in opening round to GWS wasn't what they wanted, but they bounced back really strongly against Essendon and they continued that form against Sydney. And on Friday night, we had the Crows and the Western Bulldogs. And for this game, I thought the Dogs had it in the bag. They just were the better team all game, and they had a big lead at three-quarter time. It was 3 or 4 goals, and I thought they were just going to run away with it, and the Crows fought back real hard. They kicked 5 goals in the last quarter, and it looked like they snatched it. Um, they kicked a goal very late. I think it was Isaac Rankin kicked the goal from the pocket. One of the best goals I've seen. Off one foot, drop punt from the boundary at his pocket, and he flushed it. And the crowd was up and about. They strung together like four of the last 5 goals, and it looked like the Crows were just going to run over the top of them. And then the Dogs hit back. Bailey Williams with a clutch goal. Oscar Baker kicking the sealer, and what was a phenomenal goal. Uh, and it just continues the run of form for the Western Bulldogs. They start the year 3-0. Marcus Bontempelli continuing his push to win his first ever Brownlow. 30 disposals and a goal. He is just the best player in the competition. Ed Richards doing his thing. Libba being that contested beast. Matthew Kennedy still flying under the radar for the Bulldogs. But it was Joel Frazier in the first quarter that really got the Bulldogs going, kicking multiple goals and really showing that the Dogs have developed their young players really well. They had their new recruit, Connor Buderick, play really well. And some of the young guys really standing up when the game got hot. Lockie Jakes, Michael Selwood, really good and a great win for the Dogs as they continue to push their season and look for a top four spot. Next, we had the Gold Coast Suns up against Richmond. The biggest talking point from this game is obviously going to be the hamstring injury to gun recruit Christian Petrarca. Unfortunately, he clutched his hammy after going for a kick. It's no good. But Ben King was phenomenal in this game, as he has been this entire year. He kicked 7 goals, and he's unstoppable. He's out of contract, so he's a lot of teams are going to be lining up to sign this bloke in the off season. I tell you that. He had 11 disposals, 7 of them were goals. So that tells you all you need to know about Ben King. I really like the look of Ethan Reed. He got his season going really well with a 4 goal performance. Struggled to hit the scoreboard in their previous games. So it was nice to see that from him. Seth Campbell continuing to show a bright light for Richmond, kicking 3. Sam Lawler still progressing really well in that forward mid role. And I think that the Tigers have a lot to look forward to in the future. They've got some really nice young guys that are coming through, and they're not going to be that bad for that long, I don't think. But the Suns are just unstoppable. They get their win, and we move on. And GWS St Kilda, a game that got delayed nearly an hour because of the horrible conditions. They had lightning warnings, it's pissing down rain, and the Saints had this for the first 3 quarters. They were dominant, they were putting it on the scoreboard, and the Giants didn't have any answers. And I don't know what Adam Kingsley said to the boys at 3 quarter time, but he must have given them a pretty good rev up. They kicked 5 goals in the last quarter, and I honestly thought that they were going to run away with it. They were pushing, pushing, pushing. Jesse Hogan kicked one with 30 seconds left to make it a 4 point game. They won the clearance, they hat kicked it forward, and you just thought, oh my goodness, surely the Saints can't lose this. But they managed to get away with the win. It relieved a little bit of pressure off of Ross Lyon, but they still have a lot of question marks, the Saints. Really like the look of Jack Sinclair. Cal Wilkie had a great game. Wangani Miller doing his thing. But it was Lockie Ash for me that was the best on ground for the Giants. He was everywhere. Wherever the ball was, Lockie Ash was. Him and Clayton Oliver have really kept this Giants team afloat when they really should be absolutely dog shit without their good players. And it's just, you don't know where the Giants are going to be this year because they they just can't compete with the other teams. They just lose. And, you in a game that is so tightly contested and every win matters, you just don't see the Giants winning enough games to get where they need to be. And it's really unfortunate because their injuries came before the season even started. So, well done to the Saints for getting their win across the line. And the last game on Saturday was Fremantle and Melbourne. So for Fremantle, another fast start. I think they kicked 49 points in the first quarter to back up their first quarter performance against Geelong. Their forward line looks scary. Josh Tracy has been phenomenal for the Dockers. 17 disposals, 4 goals. It was just a very good team performance. A lot of guys hit the scoreboard. Shai Bolton played one of his better games for the club. 32 disposals, 2 goals, and more of like a midfieldish type of role for him. Murphy Reed continuing that great development, having 24 and 2 goals. He continues to outshine the other players in his draft class, and he's looking like a steal for the Dockers. Patrick Voss made headlines with a bit of a over-the-top celebration, making fun of Harry Petty's bold spot, which was a bit cheeky. Copped himself $1,000 fine, and for the days, it was just a more of like a reality check, if anything. They were fumbling, they couldn't keep possession of the footy, and the Dockers just killed them on the counter attack. It just Stephen King. You're gonna have these ebbs and flows of performances like this, and it's really unfortunate for them to lose by 48 after a really good performance in round one. But they'll get back on track, and they've got a lot of good things to look forward to this year. But for the Dockers, looking like a serious threat, the top four, uh, they're gonna if they keep playing like they did in the first quarter, teams are gonna be very careful. Um, and we only had 2 games on Sunday. We had Port Adelaide versus Essendon. For the neutrals, this game was pretty there. Um, Port Adelaide obviously dominant in the first half, um, just winning everything and just transitioning the footy with ease. Essendon looked really bad, but to their credit, they fought hard in the second half. Um, Kicking 8 goals in the second half, whereas in the first half they only kicked 2. So you can try and take a few positives out of it if you're an Essendon supporter, but it's just going to be one of them seasons where you're not going to win many games, if any, and their veterans really struggled in the middle. Zach Butters had a great game, 36 disposals. Horn Francis had a great first quarter, kicked multiple goals, and really got Port Adelaide going. For the Bombers, it was Jai Caldwell, Archie Roberts, and Zach Merritt that really tried getting them going. They really struggled to put it on the scoreboard early. Kako kicking four behinds didn't really help. Nate Caddy continues his dominance as a key forward. He looks really good in a bad side. So we don't really know where Essendon's going to go from here, but they've got a few good young players that are really exciting to watch. Connor Rosie from Port Adelaide suffered a hamstring injury, and it looks quite bad. Initially, they thought it was cramps, but he was on crutches at the end of the game. So it's looking like a high tendon injury for Connor Rosie, which is not what you want if you're Port Adelaide. With Zach Butters coming out of contract, you want to win as many games as you can. Not having your captain out there is definitely not going to help. And for the last game of the round, we had West Coast and North Melbourne. North Melbourne started the first quarter on fire. Everything they touched turned to gold. And from that point on, it was all West Coast. West Coast fought back, and their second half was really, really good. Their adjustments at quarter time really brought them back into the game. I thought they defended the ground really well, and they really covered the switch from North Melbourne when they tried to transition the footy. And the Kangas ball movement got really stagnant. Um, they couldn't move the ball out of their back half. It was a lot of kick mark, long down the line type of stuff, and the Eagles capitalised on it. They got a lot of footy from turnovers, and they turned it into scores. Jamie Cripps had a great game, kicking three. But it was the young guys that really stood up for the Eagles. First round pick, William Thursma kicked 2 goals. Cooper Duff Titler was phenomenal. Probably his best game, kicking 2 goals, but really presented well as a mobile tall forward. He's very agile for his size, and I really like the look of him in the contest. Milan Murdoch, the Sparky, wasn't on the list a couple weeks ago, and they've picked him up, and he's just been everywhere. 10 tackles, 2 goals, 16 touches, but it was 27 pressure acts from a guy that wasn't on an AFL list just a month ago. For him to come in, have 27 pressure acts, and play like a bloke that's actually like he cares, sets the standard for this West Coast team, and they've got a really different look midfield. Um, they look to hunt the footy. There was a lot of tackles. Tim Kelly played pretty well. Elliot Yeo kicked a beautiful goal from the boundary. Um, and Harley Reid was everywhere, starting fights, getting physical, doing what Harley does. He had 30 disposals, and for the Kangaroos, it was just Sheasel, Davies, Uniacke, and Cherry. They didn't really have anyone step up for them uh, late in the game. They just couldn't really get it going. And for Clarko, you kind of look at this performance and say this is probably going to be the norm for North Melbourne, and you just look to see how they respond next week. But that was the round, and let me know what you guys think. Was there any surprises that you thought throughout the round? Did your team win this week? And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.